he doesn't want them to hang a photo of him when he's old. Because he's changed completely. He would want me to be stood in front of the people so that they see how he used to look like when he was young. So it's something that never escapes my heart. It's so close to my heart. That is what he said. And that, again, church has already contributed a lot to this.
The church,
because you know, you cannot be selling the value and the church value and the faith and everything, but all the other times you're preaching, you know, these witches, you must stop witching, without tangible evidence. It's young, but I hope I'll get as much life to see, and we'll see with my colleagues.
Yes.
These very children that we have left in our homes with the workers and the local schools are going to be our leaders in future. They're the ones who know how things should be done. What would I say? I think some demonic spirits or things like that. Like when you take your own to the cemetery, it's like you have neglected them, you've dejected them. So, mtu atakuambia hapa in Swahili, nimemaliza shamba, lakini nimebakisha kaburi langu. I've left where I will be buried. So you have a family of 15. But as young people, just as we began, is that we really don't have an option because the future that we were being told is here. It's not a lie, it's here. I remember seeing our parents young. They have aged, they are phased out. So the truth is we have a lot to do. We have a lot to think about. We need to get to share. We can't wait for
and welcome to Lucemoria Network. Once again, this is a very good morning here in Kisii, and we are still continuing to change lives and creating awareness about the issues affecting our older persons, and we are meeting different stakeholders, and today we are meeting a very special person, a very different career, and for the first time we are interviewing a caregiver, and not just a caregiver, is a young caregiver and a schooled one. And this is a person who is a physical planner by profession, who has been taking care of his parents and grandparents, and he seriously took care of them. And he asked this question, does he have any other option? Can you imagine a young person thinking he has no option but to take good care of his parents? With us, we do have Lamech, Nyariki.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Yes.
And thank you very much for the opportunity to host me.
Yes.
And I appreciate the amazing work you're doing. I think for the first time I'm getting to know about a conversation about older persons.
Yes.
Initially I believe that it's just an obvious thing. We assumed this is what we must do. But looking at a number of things you're doing, I'm surprised that we've neglected the older persons.
But honestly, Lamech, you are a hero. If I was to produce a hero of the year, it would be you. Because I met a lot of young people who even no idea, even don't even think it's necessary to take care of our parents, our older persons. No, they don't have to be really your parents, but older persons. But from our conversations with you, the comments you're making, it's just so enticing that you care so much about older persons, including neighbors, whoever you come across. That is wonderful. You took care of your father and your grandfather, and what really made you do that? Is it because you live in the rural area here in Nyamira, or what made you? Because I met others who also live here, but they really don't even care. How come?
Thank you very much. Just like I indicated to you, my belief was that this should be a continuous process. This is not something that we pick up. the responsibility of, it's not more about taking care. I think it's about a continuity that should happen and should be a constant. For me, I don't find it as a big thing. I find it's a lineage that is ongoing, and probably these would be my expectations of on my children. Probably what made me do this, I think, first, because it's an issue of a question, I find it from the fond memories of my father, of the grandfather, and how they used to be together, and the things he learned from him till his grandfather passed. And he would tell us stories, how he used to live, how he passed, how the burial ceremony was done. In fact, I remember him indicating that one of my grandfathers was not able to go there because they used to do it like immediately.
Yeah.
So it's something that was touchy. Then I remember him telling us stories about how his grandmother used to feed him from the palm of his hand to make sure that he's okay, and he would want to check where he is, and he would tell him to work so hard. And even where we live today, it was motivated by the grandmother. That you see, the grandmother at that time was living with the last-born son, who's now late grandfather also. And you are last-born? I'm a last-born, yes. Okay. So that is late. And actually, my father's grandmother was buried in the last-born's home, scheme. Yeah. So I remember my father saying the grandmother used to encourage him and tell him, wewe ni mjinga. You're living with your uncle here and you're not focusing on how your family will be and your children. Unakaa kwa uncle yako too, so you need to get yourself something. Yes. These your uncles are wasting your time. You need to get yourself something. Yeah. And I really figure that as a big blessing to my dad and my family, and I value that old age, and I think of it till today, that she was not old. She saw ahead. She knew a number of things that would happen. Because now my father is also aged, passed on a few months ago, and I wouldn't imagine that a number of things that he also says to pass on are similar to what he used to learn from the grandmother, the grandfather. So today, for me, the reason why I don't see really that there is an option, you know, I'm born of a family of 11. I'm the 11th born, and actually the last borns we are twins. So, and all of us have this concern: how is mom doing? How is dad doing? And I found it's a normal thing to do. If I'm the one at home, I must let everyone know how we woke up. It's a common thing. I remember that when we were young, you know, my father used to wake up very early, at around 5. And the first thing he would do is to check everyone, where they are sleeping. And as I mentioned to you, we were 11. So, and we used to live with relatives, different people. Yeah, of course. A bigger family. Yeah. And we'll come to where we are sleeping. To check. Sit on the bed and talk to us and wonder, why are you asleep? And one day, I asked my dad, you know, you wake up so early in the morning. So what do you want us to do this early? And then he told me, you don't know what you need to do this early. So he asked me to join him. Come out here. You see these cows? Now they need to be fixed. You need to know if they are all of them, and they need to be milked and things like that. Follow me. That's why you need to wake up. Because I didn't have a reason to wake up, he was giving me a reason to wake up. And I realized that later, now that he's gone, I realized I do the same thing to my kids. And in fact, very few days ago, they were asking their mom, now if dad wakes us up every day, why does he also wake you up? So it's, I think, something that goes on. It's more of a culture. So even when we were young, our grandfather was living at home. So when he was at home, he used to speak to us, and in a few parables here, he was very close to me. That I can remember. He used to, in fact, he said when he passes on, he doesn't want them to hang a photo of him when he's old. Because he's changed completely. He would want me to be stood in front of the people so that they see how he used to look like when he was young. So it's something that never escapes my heart. It's so close to my heart. That is what he said. And that keeps me a reflection that also, sometime very soon, I may want to refer to someone, maybe my grandchild, to do the same. That instead of you showing people how old I'm looking, this is not who I was. I must have been a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
Yes, so that keeps us going.
So that means, from your story, it's like that closeness, that being together. So do you think something could have come in between the relationship between the children of today and that not being together all the time? Like you spend a lot of time. You learned from your father, you learned from your grandfather. How about today's children? They go to boarding schools, they have no time. Maybe they live in towns, they never even had time to be woken by their grandparents. Wake up. What do you think the gap?
Thank you. There is a gap, but I don't blame it on boarding schools.
Yeah.
I was in a boarding school from class 5.
Yeah.
I think there are a number of factors. One of them is that we have narrowed everything to appear like education means everything. And we have, I think, lost a bit of the values. And then we've become so protective of the children that we have, to the extent that we feel if we involve them in our menial jobs, in what we do for a living, we'll be wasting their education time, we are subjecting them to misery, things like that. And these are the things that they learn and they look up to us. They want to become who we are, they want to know where we've come from, and they be a part of that story. So we have socially disconnected them from us. However good we appear we are, we think we are protecting them, but we are making them lose value.
Even at home, they can't even wash a plate or a cup.
They can't do that. And if they do it, you'd wonder, hey, what are you doing? Our maid is here. So,
you're supposed to
they eat and finish eating, they leave the plates on the table. There's someone else who's supposed to do that. What are we growing? To the future, they'll tell you that, you didn't see the dispenser there for you to get water.
When you ask them
you've been seated here. Instead of them knowing where you've been sitting, you're feeling okay, or what has been happening, and they get you some water, that is not their responsibility anymore. But again, I guess when we are young, we as young parents now, I think we have a lot of energy, a number of options. We can be away from kids, and we think that all they need is money. That is what they will reward us with when we get old. We think everything goes with money. It doesn't. The bond is most important. In fact, I remember some time, and this is something I would share with my friends. I would go sit with Mzee, and sometimes I'm not very sure if I should agree with everything he said, even if it's not correct, in my opinion. Because if I differ with him in opinion, he'll figure out and think, this guy does not respect what I'm saying. So it's up to you to figure out, Mzee, the way we've grown with him, he cannot do this, he cannot agree with that. And you know, my dad was a bit different.
Yes.
He was not a quarrelsome person, but he would make a position known. And if you disagree with it, you'll go quiet. You'll make your decision by and that is something that would keep haunting you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a character that he also picked from his father and So now, do our kids know us? Do they know our extent?
So they even understand you?
Do they understand us? That is an issue. But again, also, I think as parents sometimes we get too careless. Kids don't forget some actions. You hear a bit of friend stories that you see, our father neglected us. My mother. That's
what they say,
My mother struggled so much.
Yeah.
So really, I don't feel why I should do anything to this Mzee.
So when you say care, what kind of care were you giving to your parents? Is it like feeding them, washing them? What did you really do until their last breath?
Let me begin here. I think just like...
Because people will be wondering, what you are a man, like you're an African man, there are some things you wouldn't do. So what did you do? What would you like others to do? You can do almost everything for your parents.
And by the way, I think this is where we have that's the most difficult question.
Yeah.
I would ask today, what care do you give your child? Your child first needs you. Your child needs you to be there as a parent. That is the first care.
Yeah.
You need to listen to your child.
Yes.
If they have any concerns about their life. Basically, it's something that goes without you noticing. That is one. And then, of course, there is the medical care, which comes as the most costly issue in terms of finances. And I would want to indicate that my role as I would say here, and it's something that has kept my head rolling, that my father was a career teacher all his life from the age of 23.
Yeah.
And Mzee retired when I was in class 3. That is when he retired from
Because you are last born.
I'm last born, and I'm happy to
Number 11.
Number 11, they call me excess in my home.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm the biggest.
In body size.
They assume that I took everything. I remember when I was in school, in class 3, when my father retired, he talked to me. He told me, you know, as my child, you're disadvantaged. I wondered why. Oh. He told me the reason is I have had a lot of energy. I've sent your other siblings abroad. I've taken them to school. But for you, you may not get all that energy from me. But look here, I have a lot of land. I have a lot of property. Focus on your academics. Do whatever job that is here. But even if I'm not there, because then he had become diabetic, and at that time, you know, he was scared. He would die anytime. People used to fall down and die because
they didn't know how to manage it.
So he was a bit scared then, and it scared me. I wondered, also Mzee could die, and he told me, even if I died, your mother is here, and you can stay here at home. You don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it gave me a sense of ownership, that this is home, you know. I have nowhere else, and this home
you also have a stake here.
A stake here. I have a role to play here. That was one very important thing that kept me going. But again, that put in my heart something that I felt the sacrifices that my father kept me giving, my mother going to the shop. I wondered, now why did I become a last born? Because I may end this life without ever returning anything to my parents. Oh. So the older ones have an opportunity. They come home with shoppings. They come home with something. They can take mom to hospital or my dad. What will be my role? What would I do ultimately? Would they die while I've not done anything to them? And that is why, as we had a conversation yesterday, I've never dreamt of being away from this country because I wanted to be close to my parents.
Yeah, you told me you went out of the country and came back. Many people are dreaming how they can go to America, just like me. You went and came back.
In fact, most of my colleagues at work then used to say that when a Kisii goes to the US, they don't come back.
But you did.
I did, and you know, even a few friends said I was deported. And they wondered why I came back. Why would you come back? Why would you leave a lot of things there and come back?
In California.
So, but when I was there, what I would remember, the last thing I would imagine is that I would be separated from any of my parents and I will be away. And I will be told later, you see, your father passed, your mom passed. So that was the last thing I would imagine.
So tell us your experience when you were there and what you were thinking about your parents and what really made you come back.
You know, when I was there, let me tell you.
Yeah, tell them they don't know you were in the US
no,
too.
I was, and of course, I was with one colleague, a surveyor, senior surveyor in this country called David Madenge, when we were working with the Slum Dwellers International. Yeah. Then we were working with the slum dwellers in terms of enumerations and mapping of the urban poor. And I remember at that time we had a collaboration with the University of Nairobi. Of course, that is where I did my first degree. And that was the University of Nairobi, the SDI, and the UC Berkeley. And what we were doing is the neighborhood planning. So really this came as an opportunity that you see this is a team that is working with this slum dwellers. And we had a program of the study on neighborhood planning, which then culminated to what we did at California, headed by Jason Coburn. He still does this work for the urban poor. So really this opportunity, in fact, had not dreamt, like I tell you, of going out. That is when my passport was processed. If anything, I kept telling myself I would not get a visa. So it didn't bother me. Then when I go, and you know, these are things that I find as jokes, and I think it's good. These family ties are very good. When I get to the embassy, the few things they ask me, and I think one of the things they wanted to know is, are you going to stick to the US or are you going to come back? Are you being mistreated here? How is your job like? I loved my job. Then the question that gave me a visa was a very simple question. They asked me, when is the birthday of your firstborn child? It was 2 days. In fact, I was doing an interview on 23rd of March, and his birthday was on 25th. It was going to happen in 2 days. And I would remember it, like it was not an issue.
This is a serious father.
I would remember it. It's happening in 2 days. In fact, I told him, if you have time, you're welcome for the birthday. And he told me, congratulations, welcome to America, you get your visa on this day. But as I was going, you know, it came to me as a surprise. I thought I would be told, no, you guys, you're not
you're
ready,
a young person,
you go back. So when I go to the US, when I got there, I tell you the truth, I used to cry. I used to cry, and Jason Coburn found out that I was not really
You're very
comfortable.
uneasy.
I was uneasy. He used to take me to a number of places here and there, the Golden Gate, and talk to me. I used to talk to Madenga. I look at him like this, and of course, Madenga was also a family man and close, but he didn't seem bothered. So for me, I was wondering, I'm very far away from my family.
Parents died?
Very far away. Even if I decided to walk, even if I disagreed with anyone, I cannot walk. I must get to a plane for several hours. So the tie, the feeling, the missing my mom. And you know, my mom came to escort me to the airport, and she told me, Lamech, are you really going to come back? And I assured her, I have to come back. There's no way I'll stick there. So I think what made me come back is that tie. And by the grace of God, after I came back, I got engaged at the county. So this is my home county. This is where my parents are. I remember one of my uncles, based in Nyariki, was very happy. He said, I'm very happy for my brother. Because now you are going back home. And that is what he has always wanted.
So you are always around home?
Yes, home. Here.
So Lamech, being a serious physical planner in this country, and I'm glad you were brought in your county, the county of Kisii and Nyamira, and these are your people. And the worst news always we have, it's the elderly being killed because of land issues. What is it exactly that is going on here in Nyamira and Kisii? They were wamechomwa, ni warogi, ndio, but eventually we hear it's because someone wanted their land. Is the land not vacated? Is there anything that should be done so to avoid this?
It is a very sad story. I would say a very sad story. That even this concept of a witch, when you turn old, you know, you're very beautiful now. When you turn old, probably you look with gray hair. You have wrinkles, you look ugly. I think there's a concept that any ugly person should be a witch. That is one. And then second,
is it by the Kisii culture?
I think just like we have been brainwashed to think that black is inferior. It's the same thing that when you're old, you could be a witch or anything associated. Because you see, it is not possible, like myself at my age. My mother has sacrificed to raise me. She's the one who's raised me from, I'll say, 0 age
when she was
to now.
Too,
Then when I get married, I get children, then she bewitches my children. How does she become a witch?
I know.
Why didn't she kill me when I was younger? And when our kids were born, like my mother has been very supportive. When they are born and when they grow up, they're the ones who make sure they get the right medication. They look at the child and they say, no, this one, the eyes are not very okay. We need to have a...
Because they have experience.
Because they're experienced, but you know, they have love. That is the most important thing.
Of course, love.
And even as I'm old, as old and educated as I am, I've never believed there is a woman who knows the health of any child more than my mother. I've never believed that. And in fact, at one point, one of my kids was very sick. And I told my wife, if my kids have to die, they have to die in the hands of my mother. Because if they die, it means the same way he took care of me is the same way he will take care of them. So she won't allow them to die. That is what and you know, she cried. I told her that. I thought it's not possible. She will do something, and by God's grace, she did something. And they are my sons. They are very close. In fact, my firstborn son, when we go home, like tukienda leo, and then when we want to step out, he does not want. He will cry. He will say, no.
To remain with the grandma.
Let me remain here. And that is a fully grown man. He's in high school. In fact, he would want to stay even by himself at home. He does not love maneno ya kukaa nje. Even tell him, no, you can take 2 weeks off, summer, then go back. That is his life. He'll say, I'll go there with the dog. So, what is the land issue that we have, as you ask? You know, that those are passionate stories sometimes. Land is shrinking. It's a scarce resource. It's shrinking. Initially, the tie in terms of offspring was about, I have this estate, I have this land, I want my children to inherit of this. So that, based that our culture is patriarchal, that I have offspring who will inherit this land and protect it and protect our lineage. That land is reducing. And the elderly and the older persons don't have as much to give to their children. So because of that, these children probably don't have property or things like that. They feel they all should be eliminated. So they have an opportunity to own that land and probably make a kill out of it. Probably sell it because the land is more valuable now, and things like that. Second is as we project now from the planning perspective, land is not going to enlarge anymore. We must look for
have to deal with what we have,
means. And these alternative means will not be for the young ones only. It's even for the old. Because where the old are, initially we used to do very comfortable arable farming. We will not buy anything except mafuta and few things. Everything will come out of the farm. But today everything is being brought to the farm. All sorts of waste and everything. How sustainable is this? So I believe to the future, we are looking at a situation where we are going to create even social centers. You see today, even burial ceremonies that used to happen in homesteads, it's not possible because land is over subdivided. These ceremonies have been moved to schools. The schools are running Monday to Friday. They want to have the ceremony on Friday. So, and I'm thinking to the future, probably people are going to have a mass from the morgue, and then they go straight to bury. And we'll be doing, in Kisii, by the way, as a planner, I'll tell you, you cannot even mention about a cemetery. It is associated with, what would I say? I think some demonic spirits or things like that. Like when you take your own to the cemetery, it's like you have neglected them, you've dejected them. So, mtu atakuambia hapa in Swahili, nimemaliza shamba, lakini nimebakisha kaburi langu. I've left where I will be buried. So you have a family of 15, you have a 50 by 100. So are you saying the entire land is your kaburis for all of you? So that is one. Then again, I think we have these educated, elite, young persons from the community who don't necessarily have immediate solutions for their family. For those who care about the older, they in fact take them away from home. Some are abroad, some are in Nairobi, some are in some places.
Or they go with them.
They go with them.
Those who care.
Those who care. They go stay with them. You find, in fact, now you will go to a number of homesteads, you'll be told, oh, Mama is in the US. The other one,
been.
Yes, the Mama is in Nairobi, Mama in somewhere. But the few who don't have such opportunities will not get medical care. They will not get any support. In fact, they are subjects of molestation. You hear a few cases here in Kisii, in the recent past. It's been in the news, where old mamas, because they have some little income from
their shamba.
From their shamba. When bonus comes, the target is actually old mamas.
Actually, I was just about is it a gender issue? Even the Murogis, the Wachawis, the ones who are killed, I've never seen a man who has been killed as a Mchawi. It is only the older women. Is it because of the lineage thing that it's a man who continues as a continuity of the family? How come it's women who are getting killed?
I have
and it actually is almost like every month.
I have a personal explanation about this. I think because we had a patriarchal system, kids were raised by women. So it's more like the women who will fight for their children. If you are one wife, two wives, three wives, every child will identify with their mother. And it's natural so you'll feel that your mother is responsible to raise you, so your father is there as the head and the decision maker and everything.
So it's easier to get rid of the woman.
It's easier. And then the second issue is that now, because of these women, maybe there are 2, 3 women, or it would be a woman and the in-laws, they'll compete for space and superiority. And you'd find that because we don't have as much, number one, illiteracy is a complicated thing. Number two, we don't have a lot of resources. So naturally, if you had maybe a sickness or you have a problem or you don't have as much money to take your kids to school, they are probably going to loiter around here. And when they go to school, probably come back complaining, you know, when I look at the board, my eye does not, it starts to cry.
Yeah.
Then instead of you getting medical attention for that, because it's a common ailment, people have that problem of vision. Of course, yes. You'll find someone to blame on it. You'll say, no, I think it's your aunt. Your aunt, the way lately, did your cousin come here and take your book? Those theories.
Wow.
And you know, anytime, and this is my belief, anytime a child believes that they are bewitched, you know that forever they will have hate in themselves. And
they are sure that the person who is bewitching them.
They will forever harbor hate. They will not work. In fact, now they will not, if I'm bewitched, I will not pass in exams.
Yeah.
So they will be there with their mother telling them that is bewitching you. Ultimately, there will be poverty.
Yeah.
So when this neighbor's son comes with a Range Rover from their normal business they are doing, they will be blaming the aunt who bewitched them. And there was nobody who bewitched them.
So
ultimately what happened? It's eliminating them, because feeling that we want to take away this problem. If this woman would come out of this place, we will get better. We will not be bewitched. That is one. And another thing, I think, is a conspiracy. The conspiracy. You see, if a mom is there, they will protect all their children. They'll make sure, even if they have 7 sons, they would want that son to benefit, the other son to benefit. So you find at some point, they feel if she keeps...
So this is mama's love for their children. Makes them victims.
They become victims, because now some woman who's been married to a home will come and say, no, this mama is the one getting problems with my children, to eliminate them because of property. Nothing to do with the witchcraft. You saw a case that happened, in fact, where a sister-in-law came and said, no, we have lived very well with mama here.
Yeah.
She has taken care of our children.
Yeah.
I've never imagined, even at one point, that anybody would imagine she's a witch.
Yeah.
And it was a land-related thing.
Wow.
And I think that would have been the last case, because there was stern action by government. I think that was the last recorded case, because there were several arrests. And that was a conspiracy. It was land-related. Now, in terms of moving forward on the land matter, I think as much as we are putting standards to do with planning, the subdivision, it's about now we having programs, one, to protect the elderly from this by empowering the young. You know, you cannot take away the elderly from us. You see, it's friends who fight. I will be here with my mother, we're discussing things very okay. All of a sudden, you will be told I was fighting my mother the other day. The other issue.
That's a very good point on how we can work on this Warogi witches issue. It's one thing is because of poverty, and we need to empower the youth, the young people. I was wondering, as a county, because actually this is more rooted in Kisii and Nyamira, and the whole country knows that, and these are some of the reasons we are here, to rescue the older persons. What do you think as a county, because like homegrown issues, they need homegrown solutions. This, you know all these things. You know it's not even true. You know it's because of land issues. You know all these problems. What do you think as a county you can do? What programs do you think should come up, or maybe even policies you think should be, should come up in Nyamira and Kisii to save the lives of the people? Because honestly, it's not going to kill people. Yeah, what do you think should be done? What do you think has really contributed to this?
Thank you very much. I know there is a lot the government needs to do, and of course we have a whole department that deals with matters, culture and things like that. And the reason is that this department is also there because there is a gap. We have a gap in terms of culture, in terms of what we believe in. In my beliefs is that we run a secular government which respects the rights of individuals, to protect everyone across boards. And we cannot run a subjective government which is biased to some beliefs.
Yes.
Today I would tell you for sure, I have a problem with how the youth, how everyone else are alienated with the belief that if they have a misfortune, if they don't have a job, it must be attached to someone older, and that would be a woman from their home. That there is a woman who doesn't look at you properly.
And this is an older woman.
An older woman. I don't know why.
So
they don't
here people, as they grow, they become witches?
I don't know at what point then they become witches. I don't know why they're not told that there is a friend of yours who's looking at you with bad eyes. But they say there's a woman at home who looks like this, and things like those theories.
Yeah.
Again, church has already contributed a lot to this.
The church.
The church, because you know, you cannot be selling the value and the church value and the faith and everything, but all the other times you're preaching, you know, these witches, you must stop witching, without tangible evidence. Instead of being a bit practical, say, okay, this country is having these problems, and therefore we may be having hiccups here and there in terms of opportunities, but we need to look this way, we need to have this, and this is where the government should play a bigger role, even the counties, because what I find the government doing a lot is looking at the aged persons, like they say the council of elders, which really now does not necessarily mean the aged persons. It's
and in most cases, council of elders is only men. Women usually are not there.
Not as much. They are very few, because council of elders seems to bring back what used to be.
Yes.
But then where is the youth? What is the value? Today, you'll go to the street here and you find a youth slap an elderly woman and nobody will do anything about it. Nobody will feel it. They will say, oh, huyu mama, huyu ni mchawi. But
imagine.
Is that how the culture used to be? I believe every youth should know. What you're doing today is not, to me, I don't believe in curses, by the way, unfortunately. I don't believe. The reason I don't, I believe that your actions today will haunt you later. It's not about curses. It's about what you're doing today. Because what you're doing today, later, for example, if today I had a parent who's aged, struggling, having a disease, I'm not concerned. I'm not making sure that they get the right attention.
And your children are watching.
And my kids are watching, and I'm complaining before my children know my father is troubling me and everything. They will do the same thing.
They think that's what happens.
They will think that when someone gets old, that is how they are supposed to be treated. If I don't show them, the parents, the same love, they won't show me the love. So will not be curses.
It is curse.
I will get what I would have, the seed that I would have planted. So that is it. I think it's more now to have programs, because now in government, development is about brick and mortar. That is the problem, my sister. And, sadly so. You think that constructing a school, we have a project, we have development. Constructing a road, we have development. No. The entire development comes from the social being of a human being.
The mindset.
The mindset. That is where it begins. You'll find someone earning 200,000 Kenyan shillings now, very poor and dejected in this town, struggling, not settled, not able even to assist a parent. But as a farmer, a farm for liver, who's farming, doing basic farming things, will carry their mother from that village, come to town here for medication. It's not that they have so much money, but they have care. And this is what we must build. So
it's not just about big money, it's not big,
this money,
big cars.
All this time, money has been mobilized for education. You ask most people how they went to school. It was a communal issue. It was not, they will not tell you that, you know, my father was, it's Arambes. He said, we have gotten one of our sons as a part of opportunity, we need to take them somewhere. Watu wanakuja wote, and they'll feel happy. We have sent one of our own somewhere. That was a communal response. So when you come back, you get opportunities. You need to look at these people as your own, and whatever that, that is what used to happen. But today, it's individualism. Mtoto wangu wasijui yako wapi. So that if my child has to succeed, I must hide them in some Luo school, in some Kikuyu school. So you find the schools that are in our community places here,
they are dying.
They are left for what workers, the people, the workers, the children lowest. Of the workers. And I want people here. I may be young, but I hope I'll get as much life to see, and we'll see with my colleagues. These very children that we have left in our homes with the workers and the local schools are going to be our leaders in future. They are the ones who know how things should be done. The children we have sent out, if they manage to get money, we'll be sending you M-Pesa, if they will be M-Pesa. Those kids who will be home will be the most successful. They'll be the ones who know ways things should be done. And therefore we need to have a way to bridge this gap, to ensure that our children learn this. The only way to protect our children is to expose them to do what we also do. Let's not hide them, let's not blind them. Ultimately, they will lose out, and we will be the ones to suffer. They will not have anything to pass on.
They'll be your undoing in the future.
They will not have anything to pass on. So I'm so happy for what my parents have done to my kids. Because, by the way, my father would talk to my sons. And all the time, they will tell you, no, Daddy, but Sokoro told us this. So they have that attachment to whatever they were told.
They believe it.
Even choice of school, even get some story about the... And that is what built them.
And actually, like you said, they can even remember what their dad told them. Maybe they would even believe him more than you. Yes. Remember what our teachers told us in school, even if your father tried or your mother to correct you, but you said, this is not what my teacher said. True. So that hanging out with their grandparents, and a lot of them here have visited, many of them, they're even saying they are wishing, they really want to connect with their grandchildren. They're even wishing if they can't get time to come, send the children to us. Here in Kisii, if they can't send kids, please use even WhatsApp. We want to see and talk and feel our grandchildren. And you see a grandparent crying for that.
In fact, I tell you,
lonely, today, lonely, yeah.
I tell you, and I'm without mincing my words, that most of the grandchildren who've been raised by their grandparents are very wise people. Even in society. I don't want to mention Obama because it will be obvious. Yeah. But most of the grandchildren who have taken time with their grandparents, they seem to have a different value, and the way they look at things is slightly different. Yeah. Because, you know, what we're doing today, which is, I think, it's the way we package our information. We are talking about protecting our children. We are talking about protecting the young. Even when the message that we got on TV when they were closing school, take care of your children at home, make sure they know them and things like that. So but the children are not reminded that when you get home, your parents are also tilling in the land. The land, that's where you get your pocket money. Your children, your parents are keeping animals. Also learn how to do that. Which CBC are you training our kids? They need to. Farmers are the richest people in the West. Why do we think to make our kids think? There is, in the book, they need to get practical knowledge of even becoming a farmer. And I was so happy. My son chose to do welding. And when the people ask him, how did you choose welding? I find welding a bit practical, and I was happy. And I will support it if that's what,
who knows?
Yeah, so who knows? But we have packaged education to become sort of a dream that will be achieved somewhere out of space.
You must not get here. To aid.
Yeah. It is here. Yeah. Things are done practically, and I think we need to have programs to unpackage this education animal. Yeah. So that is why you find someone with A grades, but they cannot do a simple task. Is that what we growing our kids to be?
True.
Yeah.
So, Lamech, this is a very wonderful conversation. Actually, I think I need to involve more young people in this so that the others can hear. And I would like you to look at the camera now, have a word with the young people like you or younger, and also men, men like you. You are a father who is a very responsible father from the way you're talking and from the way I know your family. Can you talk to them and tell them what they can do as you are parting short?
Thank you very much. I'm flattered, but for those who know my family, they know I am a responsible father. But as young people, just as we began, is that we really don't have an option because the future that we were being told is here. It's not a lie, it's here. I remember seeing our parents young. They have aged, they are phased out. So the truth is we have a lot to do. We have a lot to think about. We need to get to share. We can't wait for any longer to learn that we have a responsibility to take care of not just the older persons, but everyone within the family must get protection. Because the protection we give now, we are safeguarding people for the future generation. The kids we are growing now are us to the future. Let's look at ourselves. Is this what we expect of our children? If it's not, we must do a reflection. Let's get together. Let's support our families, our parents. They need us. Let's not look at them as defaced. They were once as beautiful and handsome as we are. So we are getting there. And in fact, let's not be shocked. Some of us may think we are young, but very soon we are getting to that old age. And probably something to the government is we need a bit of looking into how we are taking care of the old, especially career servants who've been getting social protection in terms of NHIF and everything. When they retire at 60, they have nothing, and that is when they need that cover most. is there a way we can have a policy so that even if there is not so much presented to the civil servants now, that at least when they get out of service, they are able to get medical care. So that is my take, and thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much, Lamech. That was a great conversation. Lamech from Nyamira County, and he's talking to the government, to the younger people. And remember, this is a time you can do something. This is a time you can make a difference. You, the person in the office today, you are the older person, you are the retired man or woman of tomorrow. So do something. Governors, MCAs, our members of parliament, you are the older persons of tomorrow. Make laws that will work for you also. And as we always say, let us stand by our people, our older persons, stand by them, stand for them, and with them. My voice, our voices, are the voices of the voiceless. Thank you.